The music had barely begun when the flashing blue lights painted the white tent walls like a warning. Laughter froze midair. The bride's hand, warm in his just moments ago, felt suddenly cold. Derek's heart clenched as the sound of heavy boots crunched across the grass. His wedding day, the one day he thought would be untouched by the shadows of prejudice, had been pierced by the voice of someone who didn't even know him. Somewhere beyond the crowd, a neighbor's blinds swayed back into place. Derek Carter had spent most of his life learning to keep his composure. As the mayor of a small but divided town, he knew that every word, every expression, could be twisted. But today wasn't supposed to be about politics or tension. It was about love. The morning had been perfect. His bride, Layla, walked down the aisle in a flowing cream gown, sunlight catching the shimmer of her veil. The garden venue was filled with roses and wildflowers, chosen because they reminded Derek of his grandmother's backyard, where he first learned the meaning of family. But in the middle of his best man speech, a police car rolled up. 2 officers stepped out, scanning the gathering. Conversations died down. Forks froze halfway to mouths. One officer cleared his throat. "Sir, we received a noise complaint from a neighbor. We were told there might be suspicious activity." The words stung more than they should have. Derek knew exactly what suspicious meant in that context. His gaze instinctively traveled to the far fence, where the neighbor's house stood. He'd never spoken to her more than a polite nod, but her eyes, sharp and assessing, had always lingered longer than necessary when he passed. The irony hit him like a cruel joke. The very people who had sworn to serve and protect him as mayor were now being called to investigate his wedding, not because of danger, but because the guests didn't fit the neighborhood's quiet, pale picture. When the officers recognized him, their posture shifted instantly. "Mayor Carter?" one said, almost embarrassed. "Sorry for the disturbance, sir." The tension broke for everyone except Derek. Outwardly, he smiled, waved it off, and told the guests to enjoy themselves. Inside, a familiar ache burned. The ache of knowing respect was conditional, tied to his title, not his humanity. It wasn't until a week later, sitting alone in his office long after sunset, that the weight of that day truly settled on him. The wedding photos were scattered across his desk, Layla's radiant smile, his mother's tearful joy, but every time he looked at them, he saw the moment before the officers arrived and the moment after. He found himself replaying a single question in his mind. Would they have treated me differently if I hadn't been the mayor? His chest tightened at the thought, and with it came memories he had pushed away for years. The high school teacher who accused him of cheating because his test score was too high. The shop clerk who followed him down aisles. The woman who clutched her purse tighter when he walked past. That night, a knock on his office door startled him. It was Mariah, a young intern in the mayor's office. She was barely 20, bright-eyed, always eager to learn. She hesitated before speaking. "I heard what happened at your wedding," she said softly. "I'm sorry. It's just not fair." Something about her sincerity, the way her voice didn't try to fix or minimize the pain, loosened the knot in his chest. They talked for nearly an hour, not about politics, but about growing up feeling unseen and unheard. She told him how she used to walk with her head down, afraid to draw attention, until one day she realized her presence was already enough to unsettle some people, and that it wasn't her burden to fix their discomfort. Her words lingered in his mind for days. And slowly, Derek began to understand something he had forgotten in the noise of leadership. Healing doesn't come from proving your worth to the world. It comes from knowing it, deeply and quietly, without the need for their permission. On the first sunny Saturday after that realization, he and Layla invited their friends and family back to the same garden. No speeches this time, no official attire, just laughter, music, and the sound of children playing tag in the grass. This time, Derek didn't look toward the neighbor's house. He didn't need to, because for the first time in a long time, he felt at peace. Moral of the story: true dignity isn't granted by titles, positions, or the approval of others. It's rooted in the unshakable knowledge of your worth, a worth that no prejudice, misunderstanding, or small-minded judgment can diminish.